Since the infamous Agreement for Social Peace and the new Constitution of November 15 of last year, the political class as a whole from the President of the Republic to the least voted of the parliamentarians has tried by all means to convince us that the spurious and fraudulent negotiation is the best solution to the very serious political conflict that our nation is suffering. It was not only an illegitimate agreement, carried out under duress, which was reached after the greatest destruction of public and private property, violence and chaos in the country's history. Not only was it an unconstitutional and fraudulent agreement, since in order to carry it out, the current constitutional norms were simply bypassed, but also because they elaborated a mechanism that ensures that political parties maintain their quotas of power, whatever the result was. Not only was it an agreement immediately flawed in the facts, since peace never came, and subversive violence has continued to escalate without pause or truce, reaching absolutely intolerable levels with the murder, last Saturday, of the Agripol worker, Pedro Cabrera Benavides, for the rural guerrilla that is operating in Araucanía, and that already has 13 victims, including Chileans of Mapuche origin, since the murder of the Luxinger Mackay couple. In sum, it is not only an illegitimate, illegal, fraudulent, spurious and flawed agreement, but also, it is also fundamentally a monumental trap, in which the entire political class wants to make the whole country fall into the next plebiscite. In effect, by law the citizens have been forced to vote on October 25, apparently, on two only options: either you reject a new constitution, or you approve it. But, additionally, you must vote a second ballot where you must decide what type of body should draft the new constitution, mixed constitutional convention, or constitutional convention. Additionally, and in an absolutely inconsistent manner, the political class has decided that, in either of the two cases and regardless of how you vote, there is no equality before the law, since quotas by sex have been incorporated, with partial parity in the case of the mixed convention, only for the elected constituents, and total in the constitutional convention, and quotas by race, since Chileans of indigenous origin will have 21 seats guaranteed in the mixed option, and 18 in the constitutional convention. As if that were not enough, if the I approve option wins, the candidates to integrate the convention elected by direct vote will receive a diet of 2.5 million pesos, while the parliamentarians, in the case of the mixed convention, will maintain their diet of 9 years 500,000 gross. Thus, not only will there not be equality before the law in the plebiscite itself, but also, there will not be equality with respect to the salary of those who make up the convention, and neither with respect to subsequent public positions, which already the members of the convention constitute. Run for public office up to 1 year after your term ends. On the other hand, in the convocation mixed, this inability will only apply to elected members, while congressmen may seek a new term. Thus, as can be seen, both in the mixed convention and in the constitutional, we will be forced to vote by one or another mechanism, claiming inequality in the facts before the law, by sex, by race, by salary, and also, because in any case, the political parties will be the only ones that will actually end up designating the candidates. And if all the above were not enough, given the sanitary conditions in which the country is located, the Electoral Act will also violate equality before the law, since those people who are infected with coronavirus and are aware of the result of their PCR, they can go to vote and they will increase the risk of contagion for healthy voters, but they can be detained once they have voted. Thus, the government itself has indicated that it is better that they do not vote. Can it be expected, then, that from any of these conventions a constitution will emerge that recognizes the equality before the law of all Chileans, if in their own origin that equality does not exist? Faced with all this, those of us who are for rejection must act with coherence, with courage, conviction and, above all, with total freedom. We do not want a new constitution. And for the same reason, we do not want any convention, be it mixed or full constitutional. There are those who, calculators in hand, argue that we must vote mixed because that way it ensures that the convention maintains some degree of artificial balance, by incorporating parliamentarians in office. Those who think so are guilty of the utmost naivety. For the insurrectionary process underway, the plebiscite, whatever option it wins, is simply a delay in the offensive to obtain full power. It is a matter of power, not a matter of votes. Additionally, nothing ensures that the parliamentarians who make up the mixta even manage to maintain some of the great rights already enshrined in the current constitution, including property law, which is what matters most to the right as a whole. Your own colleagues on the left, in parliament and before the plebiscite, have announced to you that this right will be one of the first to disappear in the new constitution, and if they are saying this, would you be so naive as to at least not take it into account? It is a problem of hegemony, and the left has it both in parliament, as it will have it in the convention, be it mixed or constituent. And the fundamental problem is that, by voting any option on the second ballot, you will be sanctioning by angas or by sleeves that there is an electoral will to change the constitution, even if the rejection wins. Thus, those of us who are for the rejection of truth simply do not want any type of convention, neither mixed nor constituent, and we do not want them, because we do not want any new constitution. For all this, my option and my recommendation is that, if you do not want a new constitution, simply vote rejection and null. Any other alternative, as we have seen, is to legitimize a plebiscite imposed by violence and chaos, unconstitutional, fraudulent, spurious, carried out in the absence of the rule of law, without equality before the law, without guarantees of health, and fundamentally, agreed by the worst political class in the history of Chile, only to perpetuate itself in power. Don't be fooled. Voting the second ballot with either of the two options is a deception, a fraud, and will only serve those who will change the constitution anyway, because they are the same ones who have already exceeded the current one to impose their own terms. And what happens if the approval wins? First, that the number of votes for the rejection will be greater than the number of votes for either of the two alternatives, mixed or constituent. So whatever happens, the mechanism for drafting the new constitution will have less electoral legitimacy to maintain. The actual. And second, if the approval is won, from October 26 we have to get to work to reject the new constitution in the plebiscite of exit. And if they still win, then we must develop a counter-process that in the future allows us to achieve the force, power and hegemony to reverse all this nefarious process. For all this and much more, rejection and null. Homeland or chaos, there are no more sides.